A reading from the book of Deuteronomy. Now, Israel, give heed to the statutes and ordinances that I am teaching you to observe, so that you may live to enter and occupy the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You must neither add anything to what I command you, nor take away anything from it, but keep the commandments of the Lord your God, with which I am charging you. You must observe them diligently, for this will show your wisdom and discernment to the peoples, who, when they hear all these statutes, will say, surely this great nation is a wise and discerning people. For what other great nation has a God so near to it as the Lord our God is whenever we call to him? And what other great nation has statutes and ordinances as just as this entire law that I am setting before you today? The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A reading from the letter of St. James. Every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. In fulfillment of his own purpose, he gave us birth by the word of truth, so that we would become a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Welcome with meekness the implanted word that has the power to save your souls. But be doers of the word, not merely hearers who deceive themselves. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and keep oneself unstained by the world. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Alleluia.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
When the Pharisees and some of the scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus, they noticed that some of his disciples were eating with defiled hands, that is, without washing them. For the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they thoroughly wash their hands, thus observing the tradition of the elders. They do not eat anything from the market unless they wash it. And there are also many other traditions that they observe: the washing of cups, pots, and bronze kettles. So the Pharisees and the scribes asked him, "Why do your disciples not live according to the tradition of the elders, but eat with defiled hands?" Jesus said to them, "Isaiah prophesies rightly about you hypocrites, as it is written, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching human precepts as doctrines. You abandon the commandments of God and hold to human tradition.'" Then Jesus called the crowd again and said to them, "Listen to me, all of you, and understand. There is nothing outside a person that, by going in, can defile them. But the things that come out of a person are what defile them. For it is from within, from the human heart, that evil intentions come: fornication, theft, murder, adultery, avarice, wickedness, deceit, licentiousness, envy, slander, pride, folly. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a person." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Children are happy. And why are they happy? It's because they don't have worries. Just imagine that you do not have to worry at all. Don't you agree that you will be happy? At least we will agree that someone is not genuinely happy if he has to carry worries. Then we can ask, what makes us worried? If you know the world ends, say, on June 23rd next year, are you going to worry about it? No. Certainties do not make us worried. Uncertainties make us anxious and worried. If someone is now anxious because he has heard the world ends on June 23rd next year, it is not the certainty of the end of the world, but the uncertainty of the afterlife when the world ends that makes the person worried. Uncertainties in life and the world make us worried and anxious. Then, what increases uncertainties in life? Which one do you think has to bear more uncertainties? A dairy farmer or a day trader in stock market? When our desires increase, we invite more uncertainties. When our greed incites us to desire more, we bring in much more we have to fight against uncertainties that may take away our wealth. But it is not only the desire for wealth that leads us to worry. Our desire for pleasure also attracts miseries. Look at all kinds of addictions. They essentially originate for desires for pleasure. Addiction to pleasure depletes a person into a bundle of uncertainties. He cannot even stand on his own. No self-assurance without that pleasure, that substance. Jesus speaks in today's gospel about the things that makes a person unhappy. You might think his talk is just a religious lesson, but Jesus tells us a fact of life for all people regardless of religion. All those evil things that come from within increase uncertainties in life and the world. For example, deceit and slander, which Jesus lists in the passage, exponentially raise the level of distrust and incertitude in our society, and everyone has to suffer from them. We worry so much because we cannot trust so many people in our neighborhoods, our society, and our global world. God created order, but the devious human heart rebels against the order. And our attachment to pleasure and wealth brings about disorder in our world, and we suffer from it. Happy children trust their parents. They don't own because their parents provide all things for them. Then our good Father in heaven, will He not provide us when we trust Him? When we put more trust in ourselves, we now invite uncertainties, and the door to unhappiness is now open.